Hi everyone, welcome to this lecture. So this lecture is a part 2 of our project 5. Now it's time to deal with the categorical data. Now we have two categorical features, that is sex and embarked. And we know that in order to deal with the categorical features, we need to create the dummy variables. Now it's time to create the dummy variable for sex and embark. First, we will create the dummy variable for our column sex. So we know that from pandas libraries, we can use get dummies function in order to create the dummy variables. So let's run this cell and let's see those dummy variables. So we can see that we have two variables, that is male and female, in our sex feature. And we can see that in the first sample, the value assigned to the male is 1. The reason is that our first passenger is a male. So therefore, there is a value 1 for the male in the first sample. If we see the second sample, our passenger is female, and we can see that a 1 value is assigned to the female, and this time the value assigned to the male is 0. It means this 1 and 0 depends upon the passenger. That is, if the passenger is male, the value will be 1, otherwise it will be 0. So we have observed that we do not need both the columns, that is female and male. If we drop our first column, we will be okay. If we use only male column as our dummy variable, it will be okay, because when a value 1 will be assigned to the male, it means that in that sample, the passenger will be a male. And if value 0 is assigned to the male, it means in that sample, the passenger is female. So therefore, we will drop our first feature or the first dummy variable. So the command is that pd.get dummy train x and drop first is equals to true. So let's run this cell and we can see that now we have only one category, that is male. Similarly, we can do this for the embarked as well. So when we create the dummy variables, now we can see that we have so many dummy variables C, Q, and S. The problem with those dummy variables is all the values in those columns are 0 and 1. So it seems that they are repeated value, they are dependent on each other, they are multicollinear. So in order to avoid the multicollinearity, we always drop the first feature. So here we are again dropping the first feature. After dropping the first feature, now we have the embark and sex in the form of dummy variables. Let's add those dummy variable to our original data. So our original data is train, and we have created two dummy variables for sex and embark. Now we will use pd.concat in order to add those dummy variable to our original data. And since we are adding in the form of column, therefore axis is equals to true. So let's run this cell and see our data now. So we can see that we have male, we have Q, and we have S. These are the dummy variables which we have added into our original data. Now, since the dummy variables for sex and embarked column, that is for this column sex and this column embarked, has already been created, therefore we need to drop those columns. So here I am dropping sex and embarked column. X is equals to 1 means I am dropping along the column, and in place is equals to true means I want to drop them permanently. Now we can see that all the columns for which we have created the dummy variables have been dropped, that is sex and embarked. Now we are left with dataset which is in the form of our requirement, that is there is no categorical feature, there is no irrelevant feature, and there is no missing value. So that dataset was challenging initially because there were the missing values, there were the null values, there were the irrelevant features, and there were the categorical features. So we have addressed all those issues. Now, after addressing all those issues, we still have a repeated value or the redundant feature. We can see that in this column, we have 3, 1. Here we have a lot of ones as well. Here we have already a lot of ones and zeros. So they are somehow repeated features in that sense that they are dependent features and they are some sort of multicollinear features. Okay, now the data set has been cleaned, the data pre-processing has been done so far. Now it's time to extract features and labels. So for features, we do not need this survived column because we have decided that this is our labels. So we will drop this column when we want to extract the features. So we have extracted the features. Now for our labels, we need this column survived. Here are our labels. Now it's time to perform a train test split. So for train test split, I am using 20% of a data as a testing and 80% data as a training. Now we have done the train test split. Now we can check the shape of our testing data. So 178 samples will be used in a testing data. Now it's time to perform another important data pre-processing step, which is the standardization of the data. So here I am importing a standard scalar from sklearn.preprocessing. Here I am instantiating the standard scalar and I am calling it SC. And here I am applying the standardization to my training component here and the testing component here. Let's run the cell to standardize the training and the testing component. So we have done all the data pre-processing. Now it's time to train our logistic regression model on this data. So I stop this lecture here and I will see you in the next lecture.